Thank you, Morgan. It has been 3 days since a Boise police officer was placed on leave following an officer-involved shooting. Police say Officer Jason Green shot and killed a man who was pointing a gun at another officer. KBOI 2 News wanted to know what it takes for an officer to return to the line of duty. Denny Hawkins joins us with more on what happens while an officer is on leave. Denny.
Well, Natalie, as you know, following a critical incident like this, an officer-involved shooting, the policies involved with an officer's time on leave can vary slightly from agency to agency, but the goal is ultimately the same, and that's to make sure all the procedures were followed and also that the officer is recovering both emotionally and psychologically. The snap of a finger, a split second, that's all it takes for a police officer to make a decision that can mean life or death.
With that decision-making comes a lot of pressure.
So when an officer is involved in a critical situation, like an officer-involved shooting, each agency has its own criteria it follows in dealing with the aftermath.
Sometimes there's a negative connotation when an officer is placed on leave. Some folks in the community may assume, oh, the officer might have done something wrong.
Bill Gardner is a captain with the Idaho State Police. He says following a high-profile incident, every agency handles time on leave slightly differently. Boise police wouldn't discuss any specifics of Officer Green's time on leave, but the department's policy and procedures manual states that after a critical incident, the principal employee will be placed on administrative leave with pay for at least 3 working days.
Anytime that an officer is involved with a shooting, there's an emotional impact that's tied with that. And I know officers oftentimes like to present this macho image, but there are times where it does impact an officer.
Gardner says when an officer gets placed on leave, it gives the department a chance to make sure the officer is recovering okay.
It can be very traumatic. To take a life is not easy, and you can train for it year after year after year, but when it comes down to it and you happen to be the officer that does that, it's a very traumatic thing. And so to make sure that they have the emotional support they need, I mean, that's a priority to any agency.
But recovery, Gardner says, doesn't happen overnight. I checked in with Boise police this afternoon. The department would not say when Officer Green would be back at work, but ISP says an officer usually won't return to the line of duty until they're both physically and emotionally prepared. Back to you.